Thank you. Thank you. You know, the streets, if you're growing up and living in a big city such as Atlanta, you're at ground zero, dealing with gang violence, drugs, random shootings, homelessness, and murder. It's out of control and it's only getting worse. Now today, we're welcoming back to your world Minister Anthony Adams so we can find out what his outreach, The Plug, is doing to help those on the streets in our local community. We'll also meet a young woman whose past life on the streets continues to haunt her and who believes there's no hope for a future off the streets.
When I got to the jail, I had 3 counts of murder. I had armed robbery. I had possession of a firearm in the commission of a crime. I had another possession of a firearm. I had like 10 charges.
So how many years did they give you? You'll want to stay tuned for what's coming up next. I'm Creflo and this is Your World.
Changing one life, time after time. Oh Lord, we do it all for you.
Through the trials I see, I'll always believe a new life starts with me. Oh,
Change your world today. Change is gonna come your way. Change and get an understanding. His grace will transform you.
My first guest today is no stranger to the Your World show. You know, as a teenager, he chose to follow the street life and didn't realize the danger of his path until it was almost too late. Today, he is fully committed to the gospel and canvasses the neighborhoods looking to save others from the same mistakes he made. Now, his newest outreach, The Plug, has already begun combating the violent crime rates in the cities of College Park and East Point, Georgia. Please help me welcome again Minister Anthony Adams to Your World. We finally got something, I believe, that will pull organizations together, pull people together. And I've always wondered about this person doing this thing, and in the same city, somebody else is doing something else.
Right.
Or in the same city, you might have 20 people doing some of the same things. But you were really hungry for impact. In other words, how do we make true impact? Not just everybody doing something, but how do we make impact that can be seen and felt? So I guess the obvious question we want you to take us into to your world is, what is the plug, what it is, and what it is not?
What it's not is just another program that people come up with trying to get money, and then you get the money and then you don't do anything with it. I would call the plug definitely a trench work program to get right face to face with the people and really try to meet their needs. It's more catered towards the people who don't have an opportunity to be exposed to other things, and all they know is the streets. All they know is robbing. All they know is breaking into people's houses. And, honestly, in school, they weren't that successful. So, I dropped out of high school in the 10th grade. And doing that, if it had not been to what I was able to be exposed to, flying all over the world and seeing different preachers and hearing people articulate themselves in a different way and have my same skin complexion, had I not been exposed to that, I wouldn't have been able to be where I am today.
So you feel like one of the solutions is exposure?
Exactly.
That you probably can't do any better if your exposure is limited.
Exactly.
I want our audience to look at the journey that produced a hunger in you to pull everybody together to do this.
When I was younger, my mom worked the night shift and I was always by myself. So all of the different people that would come to my house were usually like drug dealers, pimps, different things like that. But, you know, of course, when you came into my life, I was able to be exposed to other things. Now that I'm in the seat that I'm in now, I still know people from where I grew up, and they didn't have a Creflo Dollar come into their life and be that advocate or be that stand-in or be able to take the place as a father for them. But what I got from our relationship was I was exposed to all different types of things and I was given a chance. So when we go to the streets now, I want to be able to provide those people with a chance. You know about the school to prison pipeline. If kids can't read after 3rd grade, then they're creating jail cells, or they're adding to their blueprint how big or how small a prison needs to be based off how many kids can read or can't read in the 3rd grade. Well, that's a problem for me. Also, the fights that they get into in school, now when the police pull them over, the police have access to the fights that they get into while they're in school.
Wow.
And people come up with all different types of things. Well, maybe we should put the parents in jail, or maybe we should, start doing this and start doing that. It's like, no, if you change the way a person thinks, then you can change the way they live. So what about a gang member who feels like he has to go and break into somebody's house, feel like he has to go and rob someone? What if I take a camera and put it in their hand, because everyone in Atlanta loves to do music? What if someone, let's say the Crips or the Bloods or something like that, what if they were to start their own production company? Because they're smart.
Yeah, and that's the issue. We're not talking about dumb people. We're just talking about you being smart about what you've been exposed to.
Correct.
What are some of the programs? Because I know one of the things that the plug is responsible for is connecting people to the resources that will help them to better themselves. What have you discovered about some of the programs that are available, and how are you using those programs to do just what you're talking about?
Right. Well, I knew that at the church we can provide food, we can help people with shelter. In some cases, we can lead people to where they can find employment. However, it's not our main priority. It's something that we offer to help and to assist. But there are agencies in Atlanta that all they do is focus on that. So instead of us trying to recreate the wheel, hey, we're the church. What part do we bring? How does partnership work? It's exchanging strengths and eliminating weaknesses. So when you have, man, I wish I could get this person and I'm sitting in front of a job, but I could just send them somewhere else and hope that it'll make an impact, compared to, oh man, we got the Atlanta workforce of Atlanta. And we go there and I meet a guy named Dr. Stephen Lee, and he's able to say, man, listen, I pay people to get their GED. I pay people while they're being trained. If they have kids and they have any type of excuse, if they don't have a car, I pay them with a MARTA card. I refill it every month. And if they have kids, we have a state-of-the-art daycare facility right here on the same campus where they're trained. And the training and the different classes that they have are everything from coding to graphic design, electricians.
Wow.
And they place you in those jobs. So I partnered up with him. You do it. Another brother who's been on this show, Gary Davis, he has a criminal diversion program. I partnered up with him. Hey, he was able to give us 75 suits that Joseph A. Bank donated to his organization. So people that came to the plug left with suits. But his strength is being able to go into a courtroom and take a young man that was about to get 3 years or 5 years and say, no, judge, don't give him that, give him to me. Man, now I can say that I have that. Why? Because I'm connected with Gary. So I started making connections with people and spending time with these people to see how they are. You don't know nobody till you see how they are when they're angry, see how they are when you have to say no,
Sure, yeah.
See how you are when there's disappointment. And these brothers and sisters have passed the test of time. And that's when I knew, okay, well, let's partner up, let's do this. I know that they're not for the money. I know that they're not after grants and trying to get this and trying to get that, but they really have a genuine heart for people. So I connected with them.
I see this as a second chance type of opportunity. In other words, if everybody failed that kid, no father, parents failed, educational system failed, so everybody comes together here in the plug and they say, even though you feel like you maybe even failed yourself,
Right.
we're gonna say, all right, come out from among all that, here's your second chance. And if
Right.
you'll do these things, you'll find hope and a future. How can you impact your community? And I think that's what it's about. We're gonna take a break here, but I want you to think about this during the break. If your church were to shut down, if it were to close, would the community miss you? Because if they don't miss you, maybe you were not having any impact. Don't go away. We'll be right back. And coming up next, we're going to meet with a young woman whose past criminal record keeps her from finding a job and has found herself helpless to provide for her son. We'll be right back.
You've seen the show. Now come and be a part of it. Join Dr. Dollar and guests as they explore the issues of life, love, and personal growth.
The show was designed to provide hope so that people could understand the grace of God and His unmerited, undeserved favor to make the difference in your life.
For free tickets to be a part of our studio audience, email yourworld@worldchangers.org or online at yourworldwithcreflo.com.
My next guest had her first run-in with the police when she was only 18 years old. Just a few weeks later, she was arrested and charged for a murder that her friends committed. Now, she spent the next 2 years of her life fighting the charges while incarcerated. Though eventually acquitted, she can no longer find a job with a criminal record. She's ready to give up hope and doesn't know how to take care of her son without returning to the street life. Please help me welcome LaFeriana to your world. Let's talk about what was so attractive about the street life. Let's talk about your story. Were you more inclined to do what you were exposed to? Or, did you get the paper and look for the jobs that were there? I mean, why was it the street and not the other resources to get money?
See, my mom's side of the family, they always worked and everybody went to college. And my dad's side of the family, no. No, it was drug dealing and stealing and whatever you can do to get you some money. Get up, go get you some money. And my dad got with this woman. She would go steal our clothes because my dad, we would be waiting on him for days to get us clothes and get our hair done. And she didn't have the money. She was depending on him at the time. And she wasn't the type of woman who was gonna keep waiting on him to do it. So I remember this one time we lived on Cleveland Avenue and she had 5 kids with her and she made us all hold hands and she put us on the MARTA bus. She took us to Old Navy and she stole all of us 2 outfits apiece. And then she went to the beauty supply store and she stole us some hair bows. And that was my first time ever seeing that, but that was how she kept us up because my dad was a street dad.
See what you're saying, it's so needed because sometimes I think people in our country, they get this idea that, folks are just like that. And one of the things, the picture you've painted was the fact that it's kind of like the seed time and the harvest. You took us back to where the seed was sown. Mm-hmm. And this is what was put on the inside of me. And, desperate situations cause people to make bad decisions. None of that was explained to a 5-6-year-old kid. They just were exposed to, have a need, go steal. This is what I saw. It would appear to be successful. Didn't appear that somebody got in trouble for doing it. So that's where the seed was sown. How did we get to this place where you ended up in jail?
So it was like a couple of months after I turned 17, I was in Fayette County and I was stealing. I was coming out of Walmart and the loss prevention guy was running behind us. And I was like, I kept telling my friends, I was like, I knew he was a secret shopper. Y'all don't listen. I'm going off. I'm mad. I'm like, we finna go to jail. And he running behind us. He just running. I looked back, I said, just stop, because he ain't gonna give up. Just pull over right there. And she was like, we finna go to jail. I said, what is you crying for? I said, we finna get it over with, because we going to jail. We got all this milk in the car. We got milk from 4 other stores. We going to jail today.
So y'all went and stole milk?
Baby formula.
It's expensive.
It's expensive, and we made a lot of money. I used to make like almost $1,000 a day.
So you would take the baby formula
and I would
sell it to get money to take care of you.
Because at the time it was like drug dealers who invested in their money in weak stores, and they would open up these weak stores, you know, and they would buy it from us off the streets because it's cheaper than buying it from the warehouse. And they would pay us a lot of money.
So the streets, in a sense, had its own economic system.
There you go.
If you have a street mentality, you will always find a way to survive.
There you go.
You're gonna always find a way, you know. And some people, that's their life. That's what they seen their mom do it. They seen their dad do it. So that's all they know. It's not that they don't want better, but it's I know how to make fast money.
Let's go to the incident where you were accused of murder. Let's talk about that.
So, of course, as soon as I turned 18, I was ready to get out of my mama's house. So that was like first thing first. Okay, I got to get my own apartment. It's time to go. My mom did not want me to leave. She was like, I don't think that your mind is strong enough for you to be on your own. And I just feel like something's gonna happen to you. She would always say that. And I was like, you the devil. Like, he used to say, you the devil, you so negative. I gotta get from around you. Like, I used to always tell her, I don't have time for this. You always talking about something gonna happen to me, this. And the last time I talked to my mom, we was not on good terms. And she looked me in my face and she said, I put you in the hands of God. I'm done with you. And that was the first time in my life I was scared. That was the first time in my life I was scared because I never had nobody tell me. And she told me, she said, I hope you can deal with whatever God got coming for you. And I called my grandma and I said, you need to pray for her because she is crazy.
She needs prayer, huh? Okay.
I called my grandma so quick. I was like, this lady done told me she done put me in the hands of God. I don't know what's wrong with her. And my grandma told me, she said, I'm going to pray for you, but I hope you can deal with what God got coming for you. And she hung up her phone. So I was like, okay. So I wasn't worried about them. I was like, they the devil. I thought both of them was a devil. I was like, they just so negative. And I had my own apartment. So, of course, I'm 18. My house is the party house. I always had parties. My two homeboys were living with me. They had their girlfriends over there. At that time, I was never home. I was 18, so I was always at the club. I always wanted to go out. And this particular night, I was home because I was sick. I was asleep by 9 o'clock, and I'm never in the bed that early. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and his girlfriend kept coming in there, and she was shaking me. She was shaking me out of my sleep. So I jumped up, and she was like, I hear gunshots. And I said, okay. We live in apartments in Riverdale. Would you want me to jump up and go outside and see who's shooting? So I was like, okay, go lay down. So she came back in there again. She's shaking me again. I hear gunshots, and I don't know where they at. They said they was walking to the store. So I walked in the living room with her, and I said, well, where's the other girl? She went with them. I said, so you don't know where she at either? So while we talking, and I'm trying to piece it all together, she came busting in my door. She just busted in the front door. And she had cuts all over her body. Her arm was full of cuts. Her face was full of cuts. So I said, what happened to you? And she was like, I had to run through the bushes. I said, why was you running through the bushes? So she was like, I'm going to let them tell you. So when he came in the house, he busted in the door and he just bum rushed past all of us. And he went straight to the restaurant and he just was throwing up. And so I went in there and my heart instantly dropped because I go back to me watching TVs and stuff, and I'm like, okay, now on the TV, when somebody first do something to somebody or somebody die, the first thing they do is throw up. So I went to the bathroom, and I was like, why are you throwing up? And then he was like, I don't want to talk about it. And he just shut the door. He just slammed the door in my face. So then the other one was still nowhere to be found. So it was her boyfriend. So I said, you left your man outside, and you don't know where your man at? And so eventually he came in the house and he was pasting, like he was fiending, like he was just pasting. He would not sit down. And he kept saying, I need a cigarette. Like he was acting like a junkie. So I said, what happened? He said, it went wrong. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. And I said, well, what did you do? He wouldn't tell me that they shot the guy. They wouldn't tell that. They just kept saying they got scared. So the next day, it was about 5 o'clock in the morning, they was gone. And I woke up about 10 and nobody was in my house. My house was completely empty. I heard the police evacuating my building and I knew that they was about to come to my door. I just didn't know it was that serious, but I knew because I heard them. So I just laid on my bed. When he got across the street to the guy who lived directly across me, he said clear. And when he said clear, I said 5, 4, 3, 2. As soon as I got the 2, it said boom, and busted the door off the hinges. They threw a smoke bomb. My house was full of smoke, and they had guns at my head. And they was like, if you move, we will kill you. I said, I'm not gonna move. I laid there. They said, slowly roll over to the floor, and they handcuffed me. When I got to the jail, I had 3 counts of murder. I had armed robbery. I had possession of a firearm in the commission of a crime. I had another possession of a firearm. I had like 10 charges.
So how many years did they give you?
I ended up doing 29 months.
What changed as a result of this?
When I had my son, that everything
changed?
Why?
Why then?
Because I was living for somebody else. It wasn't about me anymore. I'm sorry, it brings tears in my eyes because I love my son so much. That's what did it.
You know what your son was? He was an expression of God's love to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I wanted to get to this point because I want to make sure we got this in. You've struggled with, being able to find the employment and the things you need because every time you do it, you run into this record.
Yes.
And that has not been effectively dealt with.
Yes.
And so I'm going to ask Minister Anthony to come in now and talk about, okay, so what can we do? Because you see she loves her son.
She loves him.
And this is an expression of God's love to her. Mm-hmm. And her story is, to say the least, extremely dramatic. Mm-hmm. What can Plug do now, where she is right now? Unfortunate, with the charges, but at the same time, praise God, we found out the truth of it, but she's still left with this thing on her record, which probably will affect jobs and stuff like that, and she wants to take care of her child. Mm-hmm. What can the Plug do to assist her in this situation?
A few things we can do. You have a son. His father isn't in his life. You've got a young king, a young prince that'll eventually be a king. So we have a mentoring program through Next Level Boys Academy, who's be able to, when your son becomes of age, and I think it's usually like 4 or 5 years old, we'll be able to take him in, and he's got several daddies, just put it like that.
Yes.
Another thing that you've been dealing with is when you try to find a job, it's not like you're underqualified or that you're not qualified. However, when you try to get a job and they pull up that record, all of those things come up as if you were convicted of murdering someone. Mm-hmm. Well, I've got the same lawyers that we use for my case that are gonna come in, and we can't expunge your record. However, we can restrict your record to the point where when you go fill out an application for a job, they can't see what happened.
Yes, hallelujah.
So that's gonna be a good thing. Also, I'm gonna get with Dr. Stephen Lee, who's over WorkSource of Atlanta, and we're gonna try and get you plugged in somewhere that is what you wanna do. So he's gonna sit down, he's gonna interview you, he's gonna see, okay, well, what are you interested in? What do you wanna do? And whatever it is, he's gonna train you, he's gonna certify you, and he's gonna get you plugged in. All right?
We absolutely can make a difference.
Yes.
Organizations like The Plug are the answer to those who are trying to break free from the violence of the streets and helping to give people like LaFeriana faith again. I would also like to thank Minister Anthony Adams for joining us today. Now listen, if there is something happening in your world and you need help, or if you know someone who needs help, please reach out and connect with us online at yourworldwithcreflo.com. And please stay connected with me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And know that I'd love to hear from you. I'll see you next time, right here on Your World.
Today, you met Minister Anthony Adams, who is bringing hope and meaning to the lives of so many of the youth in our community. The Plug reaches the unreachable and creates options for our next generation, showing them their worth and purpose. In the same way, God also has similar plans for you. He knows your true virtue and wants you to realize that your life has meaning and purpose through His marvelous grace and forgiveness. Creflo Dollar has assembled a collection of resources that will help reveal to you your own greater purpose. First, you can get the 2-disc CD series, Know Your Worth in God, which will build your confidence to know you are valued and accepted by God. In this series, you'll learn how to experience the abundance and the glorious future God has planned for you. Next, you will receive Keeping God in the Center, another 2-disc CD teaching series assembled to help you understand how to recognize the snares of pride and how to experience the power of God's grace. These teachings will show you how to develop a deeper relationship with Christ and explain how to be finally liberated from your past and make the things of God your #1 priority. Both series are yours if you call today with your tax-deductible gift of only $30 or more. Your gift helps support this ministry, including our community outreaches such as The Plug. But that's not all. If you call now with your gift, Creflo Dollar will also add to this collection the full and unedited DVD of today's interview in its entirety. Listen to the interview closely because it can help you transition and transform your own life. It's time to unleash your full potential and experience the life you are meant to live by pledging your tax-deductible gift today and receive this priceless collection for your own as Creflo Dollar's way of saying thank you. Make the call right now.
There's a feast being prepared for these last days. Sit down at the table and eat from this revelation of God's unmerited favor and love.
Glory be to God. Christ has redeemed you from the curse of the law.
God is working in you, giving you a desire and the power to do what pleases Him.
If you are tight with the Lord and if you're walking with Him, I guarantee you there is joy in your heart.
Your success is waiting on the heels of your thankfulness.
That grace message, man, is liberating.
This Grace Life Conference has brought me to understanding my identity in Christ Jesus.
It's like we're so full, it's like we're going to burst.
It absolutely changed my life.
Join us for the Grace Life Conference, July 9th through the 13th in College Park, Georgia. Register now at CrefloDollarMinistries.org or text Grace TV 2018 to 51555.